Yesterday, Sayadaw explained Bhutan Bhutato Pasati, which is the main gist of the Buddha's teaching. One should be mindful of presently arising objects with aim and effort, with sustained mindfulness. If the yogi is noting the object with sustained mindfulness, even if knowledge has not arisen yet, but as the yogi applies aiming and effort in noting the object, sati, mindfulness, develops. As sati, mindfulness develops, there will be concentration and the defilement cannot arise. If there is lack of mindfulness, the mind will not be calm and collected, and the defilement arise. Yesterday, Sayadaw explained how the mind is purified. Yogis have their duty of noting every single second with aim and effort. If the yogi is able to note the object with aim and effort every single second, then the noting mind will stick onto the object, mindfulness will stick onto the object, and the mind will be calm and collected, and thus Khanika Samadhi, momentary concentration, develops. One moment of Khanika Samadhi is not strong, but if the yogi is noting continuously one after another every single second, then the continuous concentration will become amazingly strong and energetic. The example is given. A rope is made up of small fibers. Each of the small fibers is not strong, but if all these fibers are entwined together into a rope, the rope will become amazingly strong. In the same way, yogi has to note the presently arising object at the moment the object arises with aim and effort, with sustained mindfulness. One moment of mindfulness and concentration is not as strong, but if the mindfulness and concentration arise one after another continuously, then it will become amazingly strong. So there needs to be continuity of mindfulness, continuity of concentration, so that mindfulness and concentration will become stronger and stronger. Yogi needs faith and confidence, and yogi should note the object without missing, without failing, with diligent effort. Yogi should be mindful of every arising object, noting them with aim and effort. By noting the object with aim and effort, Salakhanato, yogi will discern the unique individual characteristics of nama, rupa, mentality, and materiality. In the beginning, yogi discerns the unique individual characteristics dimly, and later on, yogi will discern the unique individual characteristics clearly. Yesterday, Sayadaw gave an example. One needs to take a closer look at the object in order to see its clearly. In the practice as well, yogi needs to observe the object very closely so that yogi will discern each and individual of these objects one by one. Each and every nama rupa has its own unique individual characteristics, and by being mindful of these nama rupa at the moment they arise, salakhanato pasati, meaning yogi will discern the unique individual characteristics of these objects. If the yogi observes and notes the object properly, the way the yogi comes to discern will be very clear and strong, and knowledge arises. So it is very satisfying to develop knowledge by noting the object with diligent effort properly. In the Four Noble Truths, the first one is the truth of suffering. Object, subject, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing. These objects are dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. They are not imaginary, but these objects can be directly discerned through the practice. Atta pachata, meaning the dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, can be directly discerned through the practice. By being mindful of the presently arising object, discerning the object, yogi discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. Dukkham parinyeya, meaning dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, should be distinctly known. In order to discern dukkha satya, one needs to be mindful of the presently arising object with aim and effort, with sustained mindfulness, and yogi will discern the object. By being mindful of dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, one develops knowledge stage by stage. One discerns dukkha satya by being mindful of presently arising objects. Discerning dukkha satya, the truth of suffering, craving will also be removed. Samudaya satya, the origin of suffering, which is craving, will also be removed when the yogi discerns dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. By being mindful, yogi removes not knowing and other defilements. In this way, yogi removes defilements such as not knowing moment by moment, and there will be the Danga Nirodha, momentary cessation. In each moment of mindfulness, there involves 8 factors of the path. So in this way, by being mindful, yogi is discerning things that should be discerned, removing what should be removed, realizing what should be realized, and developing what should be developed. And later on, Sayadaw will explain in detail. By being mindful of the presently arising object, yogi discerns distinctly between nama and rupa, mind and matter. Practicing further, yogi develops next stage of knowledge, discerning cause and effect. Salakkhanato, yogi discerns unique individual characteristics. Yogi discerns cause and effect. There are instances when rupa, materiality, is the cause, where nama, mentality, is the effect. There are times when nama, mentality, is the cause, rupa, materiality, the effect. And there are instances where nama, mentality, is the cause, and nama, mentality, the effect. And there are instances where rupa, materiality, is the cause, and rupa, materiality, the effect. And Sayadaw will explain on these cause and effect, so that yogis can compare their experience of practice to what the Buddha taught. In order to discern, yogis should be mindful of the presently arising object, and mindfulness should be continuous one after another, so that yogis discern nama, rupa, cause and effect. If the person looks at something from a distance, the person will not see clearly, so the person has to take a closer look. In the same way, in order to discern the object clearly, yogis have to note the object very closely. Sayadaw explains the example where rupa, materiality, is the cause that leads to nama, mentality, which is effect. In sitting meditation, when noting rising and falling of the abdomen as the primary object, and when the practice becomes skillful, yogi discerns that because there is the object to be noticed, the noting mind that notes the object arises. Because there is rising of the abdomen, the noting mind that notes the rising takes place. Because falling of the abdomen arises, the noting mind that knows the falling takes place. In this way, because there is object to be noticed, the noting mind that knows the object arises. At times, when noting rising and falling of the abdomen, there are times when the falling disappears. When falling disappears, the noting mind that knows the falling will not take place. So in this way, if the cause does not arise, the effect will not arise. Only if the cause arises, the effect will take place. If there is no cause, the effect will not take place. If the cause disappears, the noting mind, the effect will also disappear. So in this way, the nama rupa are arising as cause and effect. And Sayadaw explains the example of hearing. The explanation, there is the question, why does the hearing take place and how the hearing takes place? Because there are ears, the person hears, and because there are sound waves to be heard, the person hears. The sound wave strikes in the ear. So hearing takes place because there are ears to hear and the sound to be heard. The ears are the receptor elements and the sound waves are the striker elements. And because the striker element, sound wave, strikes the ear base, the receptor, then hearing contact, hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and hearing feeling, the ignition element arise. The hearing consciousness and the sound come into contact at the ear base. And if there is pleasant sound, there will be pleasant feeling. If there is unpleasant sound, there will be unpleasant feeling. If it is neither good nor bad, then there will be neutral feeling. So based on what the person hears, there will be feeling taking place. So in the same way, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing takes place. In the example, the receptor element and the striker, which are materiality, is the cause. The ignition element, hearing consciousness, hearing contact, and hearing feeling, which are nama, mentality, are the effect. In the example of thinking, the cause is nama, mentality, and the effect is also nama, mentality. So these are arising as cause and effect. In order to know the rupa, materiality, being the cause leading to the nama, mentality effect, one should be mindful at the moment hearing takes place. Yogi should be mindful of the presently arising object in order to discern cause and effect. That's why yogis are encouraged to note diligently and properly in order to discern. In the moment of rising and falling as well, there are nama and rupa arising as cause and effect. In order to discern them, yogis should be mindful of the object in the way they are, as rising, falling, hearing, and one will discern bhutato yatha sabhavato salekkhanato, meaning yogi will discern the object, discerning the unique individual characteristics of the object. Discerning the characteristics of the object through the practice, it is bhavanamaya jnana, knowledge that arises through the mental development practice. Such kind of bhavanamaya jnana, the knowledge that arises through the practice, is not like the suttamaya jnana, theoretical knowledge, or the chintamaya jnana, intellectual knowledge. Sayadaw explains the nama, mentality, being the cause, giving rise to rupa, materiality, effect. In the example of sitting, standing up, bending, stretching, turning, lifting, moving, placing, opening and closing of the eyes, blinking, and so on. Sayadaw gives the example of sitting down from standing position. Before one sits down, there is the intention to sit. Intention to sit arises, and due to the intention to sit, sitting takes place. The intention to sit is Nama mentality, the actual sitting down, the Rupa materiality, heavier and heavier, it is the effect. It goes the same, the intention is the cause, and the action is the effect. In the instance of standing up from sitting position, bending, stretching, turning, opening and closing of the eyes, and so on. By noting at the moment, with aim and effort, when viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration are strong, when the noting is concurrent with the object, yogi discerns cause and effect. That, because of the intention, the sitting down, rupa materiality takes place as the effect. So in this case, the intention, nama mentality, is the cause. Sitting down, rupa materiality, is the effect. In the instance where the 6 kinds of objects come into contact at the 6th sense door, hearing takes place. The sound wave strikes the ears. Even though the sound wave strikes the ear, if the attention is not directed onto it, if there is no manasikara, no attention, then the person does not hear, even though the sound wave strikes the ear. Also, in practicing, even though there is rising and falling of the abdomen taking place, if the yogi is not noting the object, rising, falling, with aim and effort, manasikara, the attention is not directed onto the rising, falling, and thus yogi does not know rising, falling, even though rising and falling of the abdomen is taking place. In the same way, in the hearing, even though the sounds are striking the ear, if there is no manasikara, if there is no attention onto the hearing, then the person does not hear at all. Here the manasikara, the attention, is the cause. Hearing consciousness is the effect. So in this case, nama mentality being the cause, giving rise to nama mentality, the effect. Bhutam bhutato pasati. By being mindful at the moment of hearing, yogi can discern the nama cause, giving rise to nama effect, and yogi discerns cause and effect. The example where the rupa materiality is the cause, giving rise to materiality effect, is that the temperature, the weather being hot or cold, has the effect on the body, producing heat and cold in the body. Due to the hot weather, the hot materiality pervades in the body, and when the temperature is cold, when there is cold weather, the cold materiality pervades in the body. When the weather is hot, in the body there will be sweat, and the materiality will be dry and weak. And due to the cold weather in the body as well, the cold materiality arises, shivering, shaking with cold. And by wearing warm clothes, the materiality in the body becomes warm again. Due to the temperature of the weather, there will be warmth, heat, cold, lightness in the body. So in this case, the rupa materiality is the cause, giving rise to rupa materiality, which is the effect. If the person does not get nutrition, then the body will wither, there will be heat in the body, and also there will be growling in the stomach, and the person becomes weak. By taking at least 1 or 2 morsels of food, the body becomes strengthened, especially when the person takes nutritious food that are full of vitamins and minerals. The body becomes fresh again. So based on nutrition, the nutriments, the materiality in the body changes. And in order to discern them, yogi should be mindful at the moment the object arises, so as to discern cause and effect. The example where the Dhamma one sees the cause giving rise to rupa, the effect. So Sayadaw will explain later on. In order to explain the Jika consciousness giving rise to rupa mentality, Sayadaw used the example of lighting the electric light. In order to turn on the electric light, there are switch buttons. So there are, in the main switch, there are the switch button. In order to turn on the electric bulb or the fluorescent light, one has to press the electric button. One has to press the switch button in order to turn on the light, according to which one the person wants to turn on. By switching on, the electric current flows and the light will be turned on. Seeing the electric light on, one can deduce that the electric current is flowing, which is causing the light to be turned on. And also there are fans. In order to turn on the fan, one needs to switch on in order to keep the fan rotating. And also there are numbers on the fan switch so that the person can choose the speed of the fan, whether the person wants the fan to be in the first speed, slow, regular speed, or the fast speed. In the same way, in the body, there are materiality which are compared to the electric switch. So, when there is the intention to move the hand, the materiality in the body which are compared to the switch will be pressed and the hand moves. And if there is the intention to move the big finger, or the index finger, according to the intention, the fingers move. And in order to discern them, yogis should be mindful at the moment the object arises. And it is very interesting to gain knowledge by being mindful. In the instances of sitting, standing, the nama mentality is the cause, giving rise to rupa materiality, which is the effect. And by being mindful, salakhanato pasati, yogi discerns the unique individual characteristics of these nama rupa, which are connected to each other as cause and effect. By being mindful of the object with aim and effort, when there is sustained mindfulness, when khanika samadhi, momentary concentration, develops, yogi discerns distinctly between nama and rupa, mind and matter. If the person does not know distinctly between mind and matter, the person will have wrong belief that there is the living soul within the person. When the yogi discerns distinctly between mind and matter, yogi removes the wrong view that there is the living soul within the being. If the person does not know cause and effect, then the person will hold the wrong view, the causeless view. Even if the person knows that the cause is giving rise to the effect, but if the person does not discern that the relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect, then the person will hold the view, the person will hold the fictitious cause view. So in this way, by discerning mind and matter, yogi removes the wrong view of atta, and by discerning cause and effect, yogi removes fictitious cause view, knowing that relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect. By knowing the cause and effect, yogi removes the causeless view. Discerning that relevant cause giving rise to relevant effect, yogi removes fictitious cause view. So in this way, there will be benefit of removing wrong view of atta by discerning nama rupa. There will be the benefit of removing causeless view as the yogi discerns cause and effect. There will be the benefit of removing fictitious cause view when the yogi discerns that relevant cause is giving rise to relevant effect. And Jaraji will continue to explain tomorrow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.